What separates experts from novices? More than anything, it's pattern recognition. The expert has the knowledge and experience to recognize the most important patterns in any given situation. While it is possible to leverage pattern recognition in solitary pursuits, and there's quite a bit of literature on the role of pattern recognition in overall intelligence, my focus today is on how it impacts competition. Pattern recognition provides two important advantages. First of all, it makes processing your environment much more efficient. When you've seen a pattern a million times and you know it's significant, you automatically tune out other, less relevant cues in your environment in order to focus on that pattern. This is a mental shortcut because it means your brain doesn't have to work hard to find signals within the noise that surrounds you. It just happens by default. Novices struggle in large part because they lack that ability. They get overwhelmed by the cues around them and try to address all of them at once. The expert knows what to focus on and therefore can allocate their mental and physical resources on what matters the most. In this context, you can view pattern recognition as a sort of built-in risk management mechanism. When we see things we recognize, we can more easily classify them as safe or dangerous. This is true not just in competition, but in life in general. Secondly, pattern recognition gives you the ability to anticipate what's going to happen in the future. If you spotted a pattern in an opponent and they don't show signs of changing it, you can exploit that. Much of competition is this dance of figuring out patterns, exploiting them, and then adapting to replacement patterns. This dance happens in donkey space, with both sides trying to figure out how to get maximum exploitation out of their opponent's patterns without creating too many exploitable patterns themselves. Poker is an excellent example of how pattern recognition can dominate an entire game's competitive spaces. Everyone sitting at the table is watching and learning, trying to spot patterns, which are referred to as tells, that can be used for profit. Maybe one player always scratches their nose when they get a good hand, so you choose to fold rather than bet against them whenever that pattern shows up. Or maybe they start playing with their chips in a certain way when they're bluffing. Top professionals are watching these physical cues, plus they're paying even closer attention to betting patterns. They watch how every player pushes their chips around at every stage of the game, looking to spot ways they can infer an overall player personality. There's even a common language players use to describe specific types of players, which is itself a mechanism for aiding pattern recognition. For example, those who only play the best cards in a hyper-conservative manner are labeled rocks, and the players who are intensely aggressive are called maniacs. It's a general principle that the skill of spotting meaningful patterns in opponents is one of the most sustainable competitive advantages you can create for yourself. Being able to see and exploit the holes in your opponent's game better than they can means you're always a step ahead of them. But there are dangers to be found in pattern recognition capabilities. To start with, there's always the risk that we're focusing on the wrong patterns. There's a whole metagame of creating the patterns designed to deceive opponents, and if you aren't aware of that metagame, then you can find yourself in hot water very fast. On top of that, you might see the right pattern, but come up with the wrong method for exploiting it. It might be because you lack the experience or execution skill to take advantage of it, or it might be because your analysis of that hole is just off the mark. Just because you can take advantage of a pattern doesn't mean you will. To use the poker example again, another player might be aware of their own tells and use that against you. They might know that they have a tendency to scratch their nose when they bluff, and deliberately scratch it when they have a strong hand just to bait you into playing against them. Anyone can, within reason, get better at pattern recognition with practice, but not everyone is capable of getting good enough at it to hijack the pattern recognition habits of other people. This is, in my opinion, the mark of the master competitor. Think about this next time you have to square off against an opponent in some competitive arena. It's easy to spot patterns for yourself, but what are you doing to set traps with the patterns you give off? Practicing this will pay gigantic dividends in the long run if you stick with it. Pattern recognition and donkey space, the subject of my last video, are very tightly related, and I've been getting some requests for examples of donkey space in Onward specifically. So for the end of this video, I'm going to show you two examples, both of which demonstrate both pattern recognition and donkey space characteristics. This first one is Wookiee using his comms to bait a shield into his C4. The beauty of this play is how the two players were maneuvering against each other. On the one hand, there's pattern recognition going on because Wookiee is sending off signals through his loud comms that he is in a bad position. The shield, held by Mike Crook in this case, was hearing that and was making his moves based on that, because he knew as a shield player it's a very bad thing for a non-shield player to get isolated against a shield. Wookiee, on the other hand, was playing in donkey space. He was giving off this signal specifically to entice a suboptimal move on the part of Mike, and it worked. If Mike had realized that this was a trap, or he had considered that Wookiee was not just making a mistake for the sake of making a mistake, he would have likely been more careful and maybe could have caught the C4 ahead of time.
I think I got someone with me north here in the corner. Yep, someone definitely north with me somewhere.
In that corner.
Oh god, yeah, he's up here. One shield down. Nice, I think I stole your kill, sorry.
You stole my kill.
Aha, karma.
Off to the road.
This next play has become a bit of a classic. It's when El Vegas, playing as a reservist for the whole thing, played dead after exchanging fire with the last player on the other team through smoke on cargo. Now, the pattern recognition at play here is the fact that both of them understood that you can kill somebody through smoke and not see them go down just because of how thick smoke is. And El Vegas gamed this masterfully by playing against that expectation that he might have killed somebody through the smoke and not known it, since they were shooting at each other. The donkey space part of this is the fact that El Vegas is an incredibly experienced player, and even though he was just a reservist in this instance, he has played on teams, and he had to have known that this was a risky move. If he did this in high-level competition, it would not have paid off. And in fact, it almost didn't pay off when the other guy didn't completely confirm the body, even though he shot at it. But the fact that he was not at the level where he would be punished for it automatically made it a pure donkey space play. He was making a play knowing that the other person was likely to make a suboptimal move.
They're both shooting into the smoke and they can't see each other. This is the weirdest standoff I've ever seen. Oh, smoke is being thrown. He's playing dead. He's playing dead. Oh my god. And Vegas is, Wilson is falling for it. He is playing dead. Wilson is so confused. Oh my goodness, that actually worked.
Oh man. Oh, Vega's gonna throw this in my face.
That is insane.
Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot!
Oh, Vegas comes back up, down. Wow, the lead stretch.